We're here at beautiful Bullards Reservoir, Northern California. Wonderful, wonderful lake. Not the world's biggest kokanee, but there's lots of kokanee in this lake. This lake is also known for producing the world record spotted bass. So you get a lot of bass fishermen up here. It's also known as an extremely good wakeboarding lake. So right now, early spring like this, it's a great time to be out here because I'm not trying to battle with all the different wakeboard boats. And as you know, with the new style of surfing, the whole idea with these boats is to make as big a wave as possible. And if you're like me and you fish from a little aluminum boat, those guys are your worst enemy. If you're not careful, they can actually swamp you and sink your boat. So right now, it's a beautiful day in February. It should be much colder than this in February, but we're not going to complain because we're out on the lake, and we have a beautiful, beautiful day to fish here. Once again, you notice the whole time I'm talking to you, I'm not having to steer my boat. I'm trolling right now. I'm trolling it between 1.1 and 1.3 miles an hour, and the boat is just going where I want it to naturally go. Without the straight troller on there, I would have had to have made a whole bunch of little corrections right now because the boat would just be going all over the place. So by having it this way, it allows me to, number one, just enjoy fishing more. Especially like if I have a fish on, when I catch a fish and it comes time to reel it in, well, I have two lines out, as you can see. I have to prevent my boat from turning. If I'm reeling in a fish and I allow my boat to turn in a 360, this other line is going to get all tangled up on my downrigger cables and everything else. It's a huge mess and it's a huge problem. If you've ever trolled from a small boat like this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. If you're not constantly steering the boat is going to turn on you. The only way to prevent that is to actually, you have to steer the boat from the front of the boat. There are excellent bow-mounted troll motors with remote controls and everything else, even GPS, and those are absolutely fantastic for trolling in a straight line. The drawback to those is they can cost a couple $1,000 easy, and I didn't have that kind of money to spend, so hence that's why I figured that really I don't need to drive it or pull the boat. I just want the boat to steer basically from the front. So by adding that big surfaced rudder or keel up front, the boat just naturally wants to track in a straight line. I can push it fast enough with a real inexpensive transom mounted trolling motor. All I have to do is just roll along. And like I said, you've seen, I hardly ever have to even drive it anymore. I just kind of point it generally where I want it to go, and it goes there. It's absolutely great. I guarantee you, if you're like me and you like to troll from a small 12, 14-foot aluminum boat, the straight troller will absolutely change everything about your whole trolling experience for the better. It's just the greatest thing. This is to show you that when utilizing the straight troller, that I hardly ever have to touch the tiller of the boat anymore. I just kind of pick a general idea. Okay, I want to kind of go in that direction, set the tiller, and because the boat is now basically driving from the nose of the boat, it naturally wants to go in a straight line. I can do other things. I'm freed up to tie on new lines, check stuff out, do whatever I want to do. I'm not totally chained to this tiller to be constantly making these small little corrections to keep the boat traveling in a straight line. So hopefully here we can pick up a fish, and you'll be able to see that even though I don't have to steer the boat, I can reel my fish in, I can get my net out, I can land my fish, all without having to worry about my boat turning in a circle on me. Another thing that you'll notice is that a normal boat like this, when it starts to turn, what happens is there's more weight, more water pressure on one side of the boat than the other. So as it starts to turn like this, there's more water, like on this side, more water pressure. And that causes the boat to turn in a sharper and sharper and sharper radius, unless you reach over here and you make a correction with your tiller. The straight troller just does not allow the front of the boat to move sideways at all, at any kind of speed. It cannot do those quick, progressive, getting tighter and tighter and tighter turns on you. It just absolutely physically can't happen when you're running a straight troller. You still have full maneuverability of the boat. The boat's just going to steer more from the back now. So you're pivoting around the nose of the boat. You can turn on a dime and point in another direction, and now you're going to go straight in that direction as long as you want. So hopefully now here we'll go pick up a fish. Said I've got this downrigger down about 30 feet right now. I've got this one down about 40 feet with corresponding setbacks, basically using the 100-foot rule. If I'm going to go 30 feet down on this downrigger, I went ahead and did a 70-foot setback. This one has about a 60-foot setback, and the downrigger ball is down about 40 feet. So those two numbers together are going to add up to 100 feet behind the boat, if you will. I'm just letting that camera just kind of stay on me so you can see that I hardly ever have to make a correction here. And when I do make a correction, it's just a very slight correction, about that much, and it'll just kind of change my line a little bit. Now if there's breezes up and stuff like that, you're probably going to have to do a little bit more corrections. You're probably going to have to steer the boat a little bit more. But when it's calm like this, I can go for 10, 15, 20 minutes sometimes out in the middle of the lake, and I can hold a straight course and never even have to touch the tiller of the trolling motor. It just frees me up to think about what other presentations I may want to show the fish, or eat my lunch, or do anything other than just constantly driving the boat to make sure the boat is staying in a straight line. So once again, out here, beautiful Bullards Bar, talking about the straight troller. I have it going right now. I have the straight troller deployed. I have downriggers on both sides of the boat. I have two lines out. And the amount of corrections that I have to do by touching that is just almost non-existent anymore, especially in these perfectly calm conditions like this. I hardly ever have to steer my boat. I basically point it in the direction that I want the boat to go, and the boat just does it. That's as simple as that. Compared to spending thousands of dollars on a bow mounted trolling motor system with remote controls and everything like that. Those things are great. I love them. They just absolutely weren't in my price range. I'm not going to spend more on the bow mounted trolling motor than I did on all of my fishing gear, my boat, my everything combined. I could easily spend more money on a trolling motor than I spent on this entire boat and all of my fishing gear. So, as you can see, I'm trying to give you an idea of how easy it is and how nice it is not to have to constantly be making little tiny corrections here to keep the boat traveling in a straight line. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make a little bit of a correction, and I'm going to execute a nice sweeping left-hand turn here. So I'm simply going to come over and I'm just going to change this by a couple of degrees, and then I'm going to let it go, and I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let the straight troller work in conjunction with the rudder off of my main motor, my propulsion from my little Minn Kota, inexpensive Minn Kota transom mount trolling motor here, and I'm just going to let the boat make the turn. I'm not going to have any influence on it at all. Maybe if I learn how to use the software a little bit more, maybe I might be, because I have two cameras going right now, I might be able to do this as a split screen for you. I don't know. I'm still learning how to do the videos, how to make the videos, you know, for these things. I am not a producer or a movie maker or anything. I'm a fisherman that absolutely loves to fish. And I created the straight troller because it was something that I wanted that just wasn't available on the market. Nobody had one. I went out and I searched the internet fully prepared to buy something like the straight troller because I knew what it would do for me, how much better it would make my whole trolling experience. And I searched and I searched and I searched, and I absolutely just couldn't find it. I couldn't believe that somebody didn't have this product out there. It just absolutely works way too good for it to not be available. So I decided that I would go ahead, I would perfect my design on it. I'd make a design that works on almost any boat, that's simple to use, very, very effective. And from the outset, I wanted to keep the cost of it below $200 so that it would be affordable to any fisherman. Don't break the bank. I want to troll like the big boys do in their awesome boats with their remote control motors and GPS and all that good stuff. I just don't want to spend a fortune doing it. So, as you can see, I haven't touched the motor, or haven't touched the tiller or anything like that. The boat is still continuing to make this nice, big, perfect school bus turn. Just exactly the type of turn you want to do for trolling. And I have not touched the tiller. I'm actually getting a little close to these pontoons up here, so I'm actually going to sharpen this turn up just a hair. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the tiller just another 1 or 2 degrees. And now I will continue in just a little bit sharper of an arc. It's still making a nice big school bus turn. It's just a little bit tighter than I was doing before.